What does it take to lead men into the jaws of chaos? On the eve of America's first major tank offensive, the September 1914 Battle of the St. Mihiel salient, George S. Patton's answer was simple: preparation, boldness, and unshakable resolve. America's first tank commander, Patton, addressed his green troops with a fiery declaration that set the tone for the battle ahead.
No tank is to be surrendered or abandoned to the enemy. If you are left alone in the midst of the enemy, keep shooting. If your gun is disabled, use your pistols and squash the enemy with your tracks. By quick changes of direction, cut them with the tail of the tank. If your motor is stalled and your gun broken, you hang on. Help will come. You are the first American tanks in combat. You must establish the fact that American tanks do not surrender. As long as one tank is able to move, it must go forward. Its presence will save the lives of hundreds of infantry and kill many Germans. Finally, this is our big chance. What we have worked for. Make it worthwhile.
With these words, Patton gave his soldiers more than orders. He gave them purpose, to prove the value of tanks, to lead from the front, and to win. Months earlier, Patton shaped the tank corps in Langres, France, a place steeped in military history. Langres had served as a Roman legion camp, and in another era, as a medieval fortress. The historical significance wasn't lost on Patton, whose love for military history was matched only by his obsession with preparation. It was the perfect location for Patton's meticulous and disciplined approach to training. Though technically under Colonel Samuel Rockenbach's command, Patton's superior technical and tactical knowledge made him the true authority. He quickly imposed his vision on the officers assigned to him. For Patton, the first lesson wasn't about tanks, it was about soldierly discipline. He believed that good soldiers made good tankers, and discipline saved lives in combat. Patton's philosophy was simple: demand the utmost from his soldiers, but give the utmost in return. He ensured that every new arrival had comfortable quarters and hot meals, fostering mutual respect and loyalty. This attention to detail and morale created a unique bond between Patton and his men, a bond that would soon be tested in the crucible of war. When the French delivered 225 Renault FT light tanks to the Americans, Patton prepared for their deployment with characteristic precision. He oversaw every detail, from their unloading at the railhead to their positioning at the front lines. He personally scouted no man's land to ensure the ground could support the tanks, a dangerous reconnaissance that typified his hands-on leadership. On September 12, 1918, the battle for the St. Mihiel salient began. This German stronghold, a bulge in the Allied lines since 1914, had resisted numerous assaults. Now it was the Americans' turn, with over 550,000 US soldiers and 110,000 French troops tasked with pinching off the salient from 3 directions. Patton's tanks were a critical part of the offensive, supporting the southern thrust. His brigade, the 304th Tank Brigade, included 144 American tanks and additional French units under his command. The attack began with a massive 4-hour artillery barrage, after which the tanks and infantry surged forward at 5 a.m. By 6:10 a.m., Patton was at an observation post, watching the advance. When he saw tanks bogging down in muddy trenches, he walked 2 miles under shell fire to personally supervise their extrication. Patton didn't stop there. He pressed forward with the infantry, walking through shell fire and machine gun bursts to ensure the tanks maintained momentum. As the battle unfolded, Patton's leadership was relentless. When some tanks ran out of fuel near the village of Panes, Patton ordered the remaining operational tank to lead the infantry forward. When the tank commander hesitated, Patton climbed aboard the vehicle himself, riding it into battle. Enemy fire struck the tank, chipping its paint, but Patton pressed on, leaping into a shell hole for cover only after ensuring the infantry advanced. Later, when another unit stalled, Patton ordered reinforcements and personally ensured they reached their objectives. His constant presence at the front lines inspired his men and cemented his reputation as a commander who led from the front. By the end of the first day, the tanks had achieved remarkable gains. Out of 144 tanks, only 2 were destroyed by enemy fire, while mechanical failures and fuel shortages accounted for most of the others. 40 tanks were stuck in trenches and 30 more were idled by lack of fuel. Despite these setbacks, the tank's impact was undeniable. The St. Mihiel salient, a German bastion for 4 years, was starting to break. The Americans captured 150,000 German prisoners, and the German forces were in full retreat. Patton's sector had not faced the heaviest resistance, but his leadership demonstrated the effectiveness of tanks and his prowess as a commander. The battle wasn't without cost. The 304th Tank Brigade suffered significant casualties, with numerous men wounded or killed during the assault. Yet the success of the operation validated Patton's belief in the tank as a revolutionary weapon of war. Patton's actions during the St. Mihiel offensive were more than tactical, they were symbolic. His decision to ride a tank into America's first battle and his insistence on leading from the front showed his soldiers that he wasn't just a commander giving orders from safety. He was one of them, risking everything for victory. The newspapers quickly picked up on Patton's daring exploits, and his reputation as a fearless leader began to grow. But for Patton, this wasn't just about personal glory. The St. Mihiel offensive was the beginning of a new chapter in modern warfare, one in which tanks would play a pivotal role. Patton's success laid the groundwork for his legendary career, from the trenches of World War I to the campaigns of World War II. What do you think of Patton's audacious leadership style? Let us know in the comments below. Welcome to the Shadows and the Past, where history meets mystery and the past is your present.